Hey guys, this is DFS Chan. I'm here to talk about this this weekend's League of Legends Worlds tournament. So far we only have 4 teams left, as you can see on the screen. We have EDG versus GenG, and then T1 versus Damwon Gaming. So 4 teams left in the semifinals. These games will be the best of 5 series. So tomorrow we have a game. I think it's T1 versus Damwon, and then on Sunday we have EDG versus GenG. And I'll dive in deep to talk about who I think will win, and any kill upside or any other narratives, or any significant indicators that stand out to me to help you guys to choose the stacks carefully. So I believe tomorrow's game is Damwon Gaming versus T1. It's LCK bout. This was actually the LCK finals in the summer, and then Damwon Kia actually beat T1 in that series. So this is round 2. I think T1 has gotten much better since then, since these 2 teams last played against each other. Obviously Damwon Kia has been unstoppable in the playoffs, except in the last series against the Mad Lions? Yes, against Mad Lions. I know they won 3-0, so it's like the results show that they dominated the outcome and everything. But if you actually watch that series, there were some instances where Mad Lions actually gave Damwon some trouble throughout that series. On the other hand, T1 beat Hanwha Life Esports, another LCK team. They just crushed, they smashed. T1 looked very good, even better than Damwon in their respective series. Obviously, you can make an argument that Hanwha was a worse team than Mad Lions at that time when they played against their respective opponents. But I was more impressed with T1, how they played around objectives and team fights and everything. And also, obviously, given the laning phase, there's really superb laning phase. So I do think this is more of a toss-up than people think. I think a lot of people are picking Damwon Gaming, but in my opinion, I think it's a toss-up, and I'll explain why, and the data supports that as well. I'll dive into a little player lane matchup since I'm only gonna be talking about 2 games. Since I'll have a little more time to talk about each matchup, I'll go even further deeper to go into each laning matchup. So Khan versus Kana. Khan just has been unstoppable. I think these are the top 2 laners in the world so far. I think Khan has been more impressive to me. I know that this is going to be his last year as a pro gamer for a while, because he's going into the military service after this. He already declared that. So he is really wanting to win the worlds before he goes and serves for his country. Kana is more of I think like a team fighting champ and player that he's shined a little more in team fights, in my opinion. There were some flashy plays that he made in team fights here and there that I remember more, and I think Khan has been just a bully in the laning phase. So we'll see how that translates, but I know T1 likes to play slow, and they like to kind of play as a team. But I think their laning phase stats are really good, which I'll show you guys later. Canyon versus Owner in jungle. This is an interesting one. I think Owner's lack of experience at the competitive matches. Obviously, T1 has been, like swapping around a lot of players throughout the spring split and the summer split. But now they're sticking with Owner, and he's been playing well. I mean, there were some games where he popped off as a carry for that team. I remember that one game as Talon. I think it was one of the first games against DFM in the group stage, where he just racked up kills and after kills. So he definitely has the capability to carry. I think his ceiling is very high. As you can see, his kill participation is really good. He makes a lot of plays for his team, but I do think the lack of experience sometimes bites him in the ass, and that was evidenced by the fact that he, when they did struggle, whether in the summer split or in the World or in the playoffs for the LCK, I've seen him struggle quite a bit. So as long as he carries his weight, I think T1 has a really good shot. But I think I'll get going up against Canyon, who's been really good. I mean, probably flawless in my opinion. Best jungler, I think, in the world. I like Canyon here to have an advantage over Owner. And the Showmaker versus Faker. I mean, what need I say more? Faker is the legend. Showmaker is, probably the best mid laner at the moment. He's been making a lot of good plays, flashy plays at times, but he's been very consistent for that team. He is the carry, probably even more so over Ghost, in my opinion. Carries that team on his back. If you obviously are stacking down on you need to have Showmaker. But again, going up against Faker, Faker is very experienced. Obviously, he's been a pro player for a long time. He's still very competitive and competent. Going up against Showmaker, I think Faker is gonna try to, play more defensively and play more of a team-oriented game. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And I do know that Faker does not give up a lot of deaths. So that it's gonna reduce Showmaker's kill upside in the laning phase. But obviously when team fights start and everything, Showmaker will rack up kills. So yeah, I mean, I would have to give edge to Showmaker. So that's the top half of the roster, and then the bottom duo, Ghost and Barrel versus now Gumayusi and Keria. I actually give edge to Gumayusi and Keria. I think Ghost and Barrel have struggled. I mean, they struggled a lot in the spring split, and then some of the summer split, and in the LCK playoffs they struggled a little bit. But I think they've been getting carried by Khan, Canyon, and Showmaker, in my opinion. But they don't make that many mistakes, just like any other LCK team. So they're good at that. So I really do think in the bottom lane, not much is going to happen. I think everything's going to happen a lot more in the top lane, which increases a lot of kill upside for Khan, Canyon, Owner, and then Showmaker and Faker. But in the bottom lane, I think Gumayusi and Keria have been playing really well, especially in the Worlds. I know they made a big change from Teddy, to Gumayusi in the Worlds, and Keria has been a solid player for that team so far. And as you can see, he has a 78.6% kill participation over, let's say, Barrel 60%, and Ghost has been 56, which is terrible. But I'll talk about that more. So anyway, so these carries, 80 carries, Gumayusi and Ghost will likely farm up in the early game in the first 20 minutes or so. I mean, I think that kind of reduces the DFS kill upside, and participation upside for those 80 carries. So that's going to be an interesting angle to look at if you are captaining 80 carry versus mid, or 80 carry versus jungle. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, if you think the game is going to last for like 30 to 40 minutes, like a longer game, then obviously 80 carries will rack up kills. They're much more powerful later in the game. But if you think the games are going to end in the first like 20-30 minutes, which a lot of games do, then obviously jungle and mid lane are here, I think will be an interesting pick, in my opinion, for DFS purposes. So yeah, so I'd say edge to 80 carry and support for a T1, but top, jungle, and mid edge to Damwon Gaming. So let's see, and then yeah, let me go dive into that next matchup on Sunday. So that's gonna be GenG versus EDG. I'll dive into the laning matchup as well, and then I'll go into the team stats, which I heavily look at when I make the predictions for matchups. Rascal, Birdall. I feel like this is the only uncertainty in starter confirmation that we have in for all 4 teams. Even T1, as you know, I mean, they've been swapping a lot of players around throughout, like I said, summer split, spring split. But I do think they're just gonna stick with these 5: Kana, Owner, Faker, Teddy, and sorry, Gumayushi and Keria. So again, Kana, Owner, Faker, Gumayushi, and Keria. I think those 5 will still start. There is a chance if they will lose game 1 and 2, game 1 or 2, or game 1 and 2, they may swap some players out. Cuz might play, sub in, play. I don't think Zeus will come in. I think maybe Cuz is likely to sub in for Owner if they lose both games, first 2 games, I think. And then I don't think Closer will play. I think Teddy might sub in for Gumayushi if needed to be, and I don't think Hoyt's gonna play. So really, I'm just worried about Cuz and Teddy, the jungle and the AD carry position for T1 if anything like that would happen. For Damwon Gaming, I think Marang, he played some in the summer split when who was it that was taking a little break? Was it Ghost? Yeah, Ghost was taking a little break. He played, but I just feel like in the playoffs, in the Worlds, I don't think he's gonna play. I don't think Rahel's gonna play either. I think Damwon Gaming is gonna stick to these regular 5 no matter what. So T1 has some substitution risk throughout the series. I think for the actual game 1 starters, I think all these regular 5 starters are going to play. For GenG, though, I'm not 100% sure whether Rascal or Birdall is going to play. I think just given the last 2 games, 2 series, I think Rascal started and he looked okay. And they won, obviously. So I think Rascal's gonna start. If I have to guess, make a prediction that who's gonna start, Rascal's gonna start, I think, in my opinion. But that also brings up, Birdall could start, but then, even throughout the series, like I said, Birdall could sub in if Rascal does not play well. And I'll, spoiler alert, but I have EDG beating GenG by a significant margin. So I think there is a good chance that Birdall might sub in. Obviously, if GenG loses the first game or the first and the second game. GenG was decent, but I just feel like Klid's gonna start, and BDD and Ruler and Life, they're all gonna start. So I'm not too worried about GenG subbing in. I think Klid's gonna be good. He's been playing well. And then for EDG, I think they're just gonna stick to these 5, except for maybe Junjia, maybe subbing in for JJ. I don't know. I think JJ has been playing well, but Junjia has subbed in before for JJ, so I think that's gonna be an interesting dynamic angle to look at if EDG struggles. I don't think they'll struggle. JJ has been playing really well in the world so far. And then for AD carry, Hope, I know they have Hope, but Viper's probably the best AD carry in the worlds, in the entire world. I think Viper is gonna be fine. I'm not too worried about Xiaoshang either in the top lane. Flandre should start all 5 games if needed to be. So let's dive into the laning matchup for GenG versus EDG. Rascal / Birdall. I think Rascal is gonna start, so I'll say Rascal versus Flandre. Flandre should smash. I'm not too impressed with Rascal. As you can see, his kill participation is really bad too. So doing his own thing in the top lane, but I think Flandre is he has superior skills laning phase and in team fights. So I have to go with Flandre. Klid versus JJ. Klid has been playing well, but JJ has been playing really well because surprisingly, I thought that was like one of EDG's weaknesses coming into the Worlds, but JJ has been playing really well. Very impressed, and I'll show you the stats that support that for EDG. So I like JJ here as the edge. Scout versus BDD. I mean, I would have to give the edge to BDD. BDD has been proving me wrong. actually has been showing up in the biggest on the biggest stages so far in the worlds, and he's been making plays left and right. I could definitely see somebody making an argument that BDD has been the best mid laner in the world so far. I mean, it's that he's been that good, and but so yeah, I have to give the edge to BDD. Ruler and Life in the bottom lane for GenG and versus Viper and Mako. Viper and Mako, like I said, Viper is the best AD carry in the world, and that's not made possible without the assistance of Mako as a support. I think Mako is really good. I really do think he is probably the best support player left in the worlds. I think he's better than Life and Barrel for Dom1 Gaming, and then Carrier for T1. I think Mako is the best. So I like EDG's bottom lane by a lot. So that tells me that small margin to BDD in the mid lane for GenG, but that's really the only thing that, in my opinion, has the edge in the laning phase for GenG. Everything else, I think, points to EDG's good likelihood to win the laning phase. But then, as you know, League of Legends is not only about the laning phase. So obviously, laning phase is very important to get the early lead and everything. But, starting around 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, team fights occur. And whoever has better team fights, whichever team has better team fights, and whichever team better secures objectives, and whichever team has applies better pressure around the map and vision, wins the games. And that can be seen through the stats. So let me type in, let's see, first what Dom1 Gaming is playing first, DWG, T1, GenG, EDG. So these are the 4 teams that are left, obviously are playing in the semifinals. And these are the games and stats that they have accumulated over the tournament so far. So the first thing, as you guys know, if you have been watching my videos, I put a lot of emphasis in the jungle control percentage. So like I said, I was talking about JJ for EDG. As you can see, like EDG has the best jungling control percentage at 55.3%. So, it's mostly JJ, but also like their support Mako, and their laners as well. They help to control the jungle by putting vision out there or invading the other team's jungle. But as you can see, they control 55.3% of the jungle, and that's the highest among the 4 teams that are in the semifinals. And in comparison, GenG's is only at 48.8%. So obviously that's below 50%, and that's not honestly very good. So, that really concerns me, and I'll tell you why. And I'm only comparing these 4 teams now, but check this out. So I'm gonna clear all the filters, and I'm gonna show you all the teams that have played in the world so far, and I'm gonna and then I'm gonna categorize and sort them by the jungle control percentage. So as you can see, EDG has the highest amongst 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 teams. Well, there were 4 teams in 4 groups, so I should have known that. That's very, very impressive, 55.3%. And then as you can see, T1 is next at 54.9%, which speaks to owners. His superb jungling control. And then Dom1 Kia's Canyon's jungling control has been really good as well, 52.5%. So as you can see, I mean, I'm not lying when I say jungle control percentage is very important to winning games. As you can see, amongst the 16 teams, these are the top 3 teams, and they happen to be in the semifinals. So, that kind of supports my theory as to why I put a lot of emphasis on this metric. And jungling is important and connected to so many things, in my opinion, in the game. So, and then as you can see, if you scroll all the way down, somewhere in the middle of the pack, GenG is here. So, that's very concerning for GenG's chances to win. and to control the jungle. So going up against the best jungling control team in EDG, I think that's gonna cause a lot of issues for GenG, in my opinion, even though BDD in the mid lane has been playing really well. So as long as Scout for EDG, the mid laner, does not feed BDD in the early phase, early game, I think there's a good chance that EDG kind of chokes them out around the map and wins the games. So that's one big metric that I thought was very indicative of what I think will happen. So as you can see, T1 versus Damwon Kia, they're playing against each other, but they're like neck to neck in jungling control percentage, and T1 actually has a better, metric there. So, and then the laning phase, I'll go through it as well, but actually here EDG has the best laning control amongst the 4 teams left in the tournament. As you can see, I think the next one is T1 at 50.1%. I mean, they're slightly different, 50.5, 50.1. Damwon Kia is at 49.9, and then GenG is 49.8. So as you can see, GenG is again last in the laning phase. And I don't think it's due to BDD's laning phase. I think it's more kind of just a knock on Rascal and Birdall in the top lane for GenG, and then the bottom lane that have struggled at times, in my opinion. So that's the 2 metrics that I look at a lot. So let's look at the other metrics that I usually look at. So Damwon Gaming, T1, GenG, EDG. So as you can see, Baron control rate. This is one objective that gives a lot of buffs for the team and the team's minions on the map. Damwon Kia has 86% and T1 has 83%, and GenG and EDG have lower Baron control, as you can see here. And then the Dragon control rate, T1 and Damwon Kia are superior. So I do think T1 and Damwon Kia are the top 2 teams left in the Worlds. It's unfortunate that they have to play against each other in the semifinals. I do think the winner of that matchup is most likely gonna win the entire thing. I think the winner of that matchup is gonna beat whoever, GenG or EDG, coming out of that matchup. So, it's gonna be an interesting angle to look at if you wanna bet early before these 4 teams play to, pick the winner of the matchup. You can hedge T1 and Damwon Kia that way. Let's see. The next one that I'll look at is the Rift Herald control. This meta favors or puts a lot of emphasis on controlling the Rift that can help your team accelerate the game pace, and by securing towers and objectives and controlling the map and applying the map pressure. As you can see, T1 has a very high control rate for Rift Herald and EDG. Damwon Kia and GenG have much lower percentage there. And then you first look at, this is another important metric that I look at for overall game prediction. It's called first to 3 towers rate. Percentage of games and which team was the first to 3 tower kills. So whoever, whichever, the percentage that indicates whichever team kills the first 2 towers fast or first. So T1 and Damwon Kia, as you can see, 89%, and then EDG and GenG 64%. So that's kind of pointless because these 2 teams are playing against each other, and then EDG and GenG playing against each other. The first tower, Damwon Kia has the best one. First blood, whoever gets the first kill, Damwon and T1, both. GenG is pretty good at that as well. EDG tends to play on the slower side as well. That's probably why it's up here. And this is another good metric. A lot of League of Legends DFS touts look at as well. Goal difference at 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, that's a very important juncture in the game where you can snowball if you have the lead, gold lead. That's where you can start securing good objectives to help your team win. and kind of snowball from there. So at 15 minutes, you can see T1 has over 3,000 gold advantage here compared to that one Kia's 2,000, and then GenG's 1,000, and then EDG is 500. So EDG has the worst goal difference. That kind of concerns me for EDG's chances over GenG, but it's not too significant. It's not in the negative, obviously. They've been playing okay, I guess, for the first 15 minutes, but as you will see here, GenG and EDG both do not have great middle to late game rating. And then T1 does not either, and then Damwon Kia actually does. So if you think the games are gonna go like 30 to 40 minutes, I do think Damwon Kia is a better team fighting team, to an extent. So and for what it's worth, they have the highest mid to late game rating, and then early game rating, which is just as important to gain the early advantage and snowball. And for a team like T1, or all of these four teams, and maybe except for GenG, I know that T1, Damwon Kia, and EDG, these three teams do not tend to give up the early game advantage if they have it. They're obviously more than capable of losing early game and then coming back in the mid to late game. But early game advantage is very important to these teams, because once they have it, it's gonna spur their momentum, and it's gonna facilitate their win conditions and everything around the map. So as you can see, T1 and Damwon Kia have a very good early game rating. And then gold percent rating is another one that I look at. As you can see, T1 and Damwon Kia. I like Damwon Kia. I like T1's metrics here a lot. As you can see, difference here, GenG versus EDG, they're kind of minimal. I mean, GenG is better in one, and then EDG is better in the other one. So that's interesting. And then combined kills per minute is another obviously metric that I look at for DFS purposes to measure each team's kill upside. As you can see, Damwon Kia has been playing the fastest among these four teams, which is surprising. And then GenG has been playing a bit faster than EDG. And then T1 has been playing pretty slow at 0.59. So, as you can see, if you think T1 will win, which I do, spoiler alert, but I do think it's gonna be wise, or optimal rather, to choose T1 as the shorter stack amongst the two stacks that you'll choose most likely. So yeah, that's all I got for team stat comparison. So as you can see, I think the one thing that like I said, stood out the most is that jungle control percentage for GenG. It's so low. I mean, that's really, really concerning to me. Like I said, it's a very good indicator if you just look at all 16 teams. EDG, T1, Damwon Kia are the top three teams in that, with that metric. And then GenG is down here. So I think that means a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe GenG doesn't care about the jungle, and then they just win in the laning phase and they snowball like that. But in a best of 5 series, I think jungle control is more important than any other metric, I think. Because I think eventually, maybe they'll win one game winning the laning phase, but the other 4 games in the best of 5 series, you have to go through the jungle to get to places, to get to objectives, choke out the vision, choke out the angles that you can fight with. So I do think EDG's superior jungle control percentage is a great indicator of their win conditions. It just gives them a lot more win conditions than what I think GenG will have, just given the scenario. And it's not like GenG has superior metrics and any other, every other metric either. There are some EDG favored metrics and then GenG favored metrics, but it's kind of even, and it's not different by that much. So I think the only difference, big difference that between these two teams, EDG and GenG, is that jungle control percentage, and I think it does mean a lot to me, so at least. So yeah, so my ultimate prediction is I do think, first of all, I do think EDG is gonna beat GenG on Sunday. I do think Damwon Gaming versus T1 is more of a toss-up than people think. I think a lot of people favor Damwon Kia, which I understand why. I think Damwon Kia, obviously has been playing really well, has looked more unstoppable in certain games than T1 has been. It's also because Damwon Kia loves to fight more than T1 does. I think T1 likes to play more of an macro game compared to Damwon Kia. So I think Damwon Kia is capable of doing all of that as well, macro game. But sometimes they, tend to favor the team fights more than securing objectives in certain spots. So if I have to choose, I mean, I think I like T1 because I think ultimately I love T1's stats and metrics that we just saw. I mean, I'll just do this last. This is the last thing I'll do. As you can see, if you just compare these two teams, like I said, T1 has the better jungle control percentage, lane control percentage. Baron control actually goes to Damwon Kia. Dragon percentage goes slightly to T1. First dragon rate goes to Damwon Kia. Herald rate, which I think is more important than first dragon in my opinion, goes to T1. Third plates destroyed per game edge goes to T1. First tower rate goes to Damwon Kia. Gold difference goes to T1. Middle to late rating goes to Damwon Kia. Like I said, I think they're a better team fighting team later in the game. And then early game rating, it's about the same, but still goes to T1. Gold spent percentage difference, T1 for gold percent rating. So yeah, I like T1. T1 carries a lot more favorable metrics in my opinion. But then, like as you guys know, I mean, who'd they play, or who are the opponents, respectively, that helped them to accumulate these favorable stats, right? So T1 played against Hanwha Life, like I said. I think there's a good argument that Mad Lions was a better team than Hanwha Life in the quarterfinal stage. And then in the group stage, as you guys can see, T1 has to play EDG, 100 Thieves, and DFM, from China. Let's say who Damwon played. Damwon played Cloud9, Rogue, and FPX. And as you know, FPX, even though they were coming in as a favorite from China, they struggled a lot. So I don't think that was a fair representation of their competition level to measure against Damwon. Rogue and Cloud9, I think they were okay. I do think EDG, playing against EDG, I think EDG was obviously clearly better than FPX coming in the Worlds and playing in the Worlds. So that obviously favors T1's battle test level. And then 100 Thieves, they beat EDG, I think in one game. So that which was very surprising. I do think 100 Thieves is better than Rogue. Maybe they're equal, I don't know. But Cloud9 was definitely better than 100 Thieves, I think, in certain spots. And DFM was not very good. They finished 0-6, as you can see. So yeah, I mean, I think it's about the same. I think Damwon was battle tested by Cloud9 and Rogue. And then they crushed Mad Lions. And then Mad Lions does not play the game style that could beat Damwon, I think, in my opinion. I think T1 does. I think Mad Lions loves to skirmish and fight. And Damwon Kia is very well aware of that, and they have a very good team to battle against that. But I think T1 plays more of a, like smart macro game style against Damwon, and that's probably the only way to beat Damwon, I think, in my opinion, because Damwon is so good in team fights and everything around the map. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think EDG was better than FPX, respectively, in their respective groups. But Cloud9 was good. I mean, they were better than 100 Thieves, and Rogue was probably better than DFM. So for what it's worth, that's who they play against. I do think they're both battle tested. Obviously, they're in the semifinals now. They had to beat good teams until now. But I think I like T1. I mean, I think this is a toss up, like I said, but I like T1 just based on the metrics objectively. But obviously, subjectively, just looking at you know, the video footage and everything, Damwon Kia has looked unstoppable at times. So they could completely roll over T1 if they wanted to, if they, hit its peak and, play to their maximum potential. But T1 plays smart, and I do think they have play against, since they have play against Damwon Kia in the LCK Summer Finals playoffs. I think T1 knows how to beat them. I think they'll have a good game plan to go up against Damwon Kia. So it's gonna be interesting, and I do think it's gonna come down to Khan versus Kana, I think, and then Canyon versus Owner. Like I said, I think the bottom lane duos will just farm and kind of just turtle it out until late game, until they actually matter. I think Faker and Showmaker, I think Faker is going to play defensively. So I think if Showmaker plays more of a global champ, I think he's going to affect a lot more game. Because I don't think he can just smash Faker in the laning phase. I think Faker's too smart and too good for that to happen. So I like Showmaker, and I like Damwon Kia's chances if Showmaker plays a lot more global champs with global ultimates. So we'll see what happens there. But, I think if I have to choose, I like T1. But like I said, I'm definitely going to play both teams in GPP for optimal settings. But like I said, I think I'm going to choose T1, and then kill upside wise. Like I said, T1 plays the slowest and least bloody team amongst the 4 teams. So short stack if you go with T1. Damwon Kia plays bloody. So if you think Damwon Kia is gonna win as a favorite, then Damwon Kia long stack is definitely a viability. And then EDG versus GenG. GenG has played a little bit faster than EDG. But if you think EDG is gonna win, which I think EDG is gonna win, I think I still like EDG's kill upside more than T1. So if you are stacking EDG and T1, obviously EDG should be the long stack, I think, in my opinion. But if you think GenG is gonna win, and then T1 is gonna win, and then so GenG would be the long stack. If you think GenG and Damwon Kia is gonna win, that's gonna be an interesting one to choose from. I think T1 does not give up a lot of deaths either. So this reduces the entire kill upside here. But there is a good chance Damwon Kia, loves to skirmish in the early game and everything. So like racks up some kills. So I don't know. I mean, if I have to choose between GenG and Damwon Kia as a longer stack, I think I'm gonna go with GenG. I think EDG, just being an LPL team, I think this is gonna, blow up a lot of kills and deaths. So I like GenG's long stack as well. So anyway, but I do think EDG is ultimately gonna win. I'll have EDG winning and then T1 winning. But like I said, either team could win in this matchup. But I'm just a little concerned about, GenG's chances to rack up win conditions, just given how low their jungling control percentage is. So I like EDG here a lot. But yeah, that's all I got. And like I said, for the finals, I'll try to make another video between the top 2 teams that will be left over. But like I said, I think the winner of this matchup, whether it's Damwon Gaming or T1, I think the winner of this matchup is going to win the entire thing. So that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully you guys, have enjoyed playing League of Legends DFS this year. I know that DraftKings and FanDuel have been very great and keeping League of Legends DFS. So obviously, we're thankful for that, and hopefully they bring it back again next year. I think after the Worlds, the next big tournament will happen. It's not gonna be until in the late winter / early spring when this early spring split starts. So it's unfortunate, and I'm kind of saddened that only 4 teams are left, and only, let's say, 1-2 semifinals games and then 1 final game will be left over. So but if you guys have any questions or enjoyed this video, please subscribe or leave a like, click on the like button below. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be, online until tomorrow morning to see if there are any lineup changes or anything like that. But I fully expect all the regular starters to play and start. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.